Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Policy and Personnel Committee meeting to order, please. Could I have roll call?
Jacobs?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
Both members are present.
Thank you. Could I have approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
I second. Is there discussion of the agenda? Hearing none, we will go ahead with the employment recommendations, Exhibit A and B.
Point of order, we have to vote to approve the agenda.
Thank you, sir. Could I have, any motion? You did the motion, Kyle?
Yep. We're just waiting for all in favor.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. We're ready then to look at it. Are there, on personnel recommendations, Exhibit A, is there any discussion or questions?
I have none.
Hearing none, let's go on to personnel recommendations, Exhibit B. Is that correct, Kyle?
Yeah, they're both this. I mean, yeah, yep, that's fine.
Okay, so they're one and the same?
Mhm.
All right, so hearing no discussion on either one. I don't have any either.
Madam
Yes.
Chair, I would like to move to recommend personnel recommendations Exhibit A and B to the full board for approval.
And I second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we vote, please? Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And there is nothing else on our agenda, so we are adjourned. Is that correct, Kyle?
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for your assistance on my first time. All right, thank you. We are done with our meeting.
This is your meeting.
For the first few minutes. Okay, good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the organizational meeting to order. May I have roll call, please, Michelle?
Jacobs?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
Anderson?
Here.
Levy? Here. Wong?
Here.
Delgado?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
All members are present with Jacobs on the phone.
May I have an approval of the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. The first order of business is the election of the board president. I will now open the floor for nominations for president. Are there any nominations?
I will nominate Kyle Larson for president.
Are there any other nominations? I need to ask again, are there any other nominations?
I nominate myself, Amy Levy.
And I ask again, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations for president are now closed. Michelle will bring us the ballots. When you have yours completed, Michelle will collect them and tally the votes. Michelle's asked that you sign them. Yeah, and then I'm signing and they're off and on the way.
After tallying, I have Kyle Larson as the president.
Congratulations, Kyle Larson. Your new president, Kyle Larson, will now preside over the rest of this meeting.
Kyle, do you want to sit here?
No,
You sure?
I'll sit here.
Okay.
It was just brought to my attention quickly that the YouTube link is on the website. All right. The next agenda item is the election of the vice president. So I'd like to open up nominations for vice president.
I nominate Megan Miller.
Megan Miller has been nominated for vice president. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Amy Levy.
Okay. Amy Levy has been nominated for vice president. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Are there any other nominations for vice president? Seeing none, we have nominated Megan Miller and Amy Levy for vice president. Nominations are now closed. Michelle will pass out the ballots. Okay, the link is out there on the side panel, but it will be moved to the more prominent place where it usually is momentarily.
I have Megan Miller voted in as the vice president, but it was very close.
All right, the next agenda item is the election of the board secretary. Are there any nominations for board secretary?
I nominate Michelle Shope.
Okay. So Michelle Shope has been nominated for the board secretary. Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Seeing none, Michelle Shope has been nominated for board secretary, and through a vote of acclamation, Michelle Shope is the board secretary. Election of the board treasurer. I would like to open up nominations for the board treasurer.
I would like to nominate Stephanie Jacobs.
Stephanie Jacobs has been nominated for the board treasurer. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for the board treasurer? Are there any other nominations for board treasurer? Seeing none, through a vote of acclamation, Stephanie Jacobs is the board treasurer. Next agenda item is the election of the board clerk. I'd like to open up nominations for the board clerk. Are there any nominations for clerk?
I nominate Amy Levy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I respectfully decline. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate John Wong.
John Wong has been nominated for the board clerk. Are there any other nominations for board clerk? Any other nominations for board clerk? Last time. Any other nominations for board clerk? See none. Through a vote of acclamation, John Wong is the board clerk. Which brings us to board appointments. Hang on, let me. Okay. The first one is the appointment of CISA 2 representative. And Ms. Miller, would you be willing to continue your services as CISA 2 representative?
Yes, I would.
Okay, and I would ask that I'm asking for a motion to affirm my appointment of Megan to the CISA 2 board.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Ms. Miller to continue as our CISA 2 representative. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Megan. Item B are committee appointments. Mr. Wong, would you please serve as the Planning and Budget Chair?
I would be happy to.
And Mr. Anderson and Ms. Miller, would you be willing to serve with Mr. Wong on the Planning and Budget Committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Levy, would you be willing to serve as the Oversight and Finance Chair?
Yes.
And Ms. Jacobs and Ms. Delgado, would you be willing to serve on the Oversight and Finance Committee with Ms. Levy?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jacobs, would you please serve as the Policy and Personnel Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Wong and Ms. Levy, will you please serve on the Policy and Personnel Committee with Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Levy, would you be willing to serve as our W Asb delegate?
Yes.
And Mr. Wong, would you be willing to serve as our alternate, please?
Yes.
Thank you both very much. Ms. Jacobs, would you be willing to serve as our Employee Relations representative, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Delgado, would you be willing to serve on the Merrill Community Revitalization Task Force if it is reactivated?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, would you please continue to serve as our legislative representative? Thank you. And Ms. Levy, would you please be our TIF representative?
Yes.
Point of order.
Yes.
That's for the committee to decide.
Okay, thank you. Which brings us to agenda item number 4, the superintendent's appointments to agencies.
Okay. Appointment to the Park, Recreation, and Conservation Advisory Committee would be Board Member Spencer Anderson. Would you accept?
I accept.
An appointment to Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee would be Board Member John Wong. Would you accept?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. And that brings us to the meeting closing. May I have a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
Oh.
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn the organizational meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. All right, it's 7:18, and I would like to call the business meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Anderson.
Here.
Delgado.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Larson.
Present.
Levy.
Here.
Miller.
Present.
Wong.
Present.
All members are present with Jacobs on the phone.
May I have approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as is, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved, which brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Ms. Levy, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I can't wait for this COVID thing to be over so we can have the cute little kids here doing this for us. We are now at the point of the meeting for public comment. And Michelle, we do have public comment, correct? Okay, so I'm going to
Yes,
read.
we do.
I'm going to read my spiel. Citizens are welcome to attend all open meetings of the Board of Education. Robert's Rules of Order will be followed at all times. Persons attending board meetings are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful and courteous manner that models appropriate behavior for our students. Persons wishing to comment are expected to comply with the following norms in order to maintain a respectful and ordered meeting and to protect all persons, including members of the public, district employees, and district students from personal attacks or discussion of confidential matters in a public forum. So we do have a couple of people here in person, and then the public was also invited to email our board secretary with public comment. Comments should be directed to members of the Board of Education, not district employees, students, or other members of the public in attendance at the meeting. Comments that attack any individual personally or professionally or are derogatory or demean others will not be tolerated. Personnel matters or concerns regarding specific district personnel are not appropriate topics to be addressed during an open meeting and should be handled in accordance with district policy and procedures. Concerns or questions regarding students will not be allowed. Comments regarding another individual's membership in a legally protected class, example race, sexual orientation, religion, etc., is strictly prohibited. Response from the board will be limited to clarifying inaccurate information, seeking additional information from the citizen, or acknowledging that the citizen has been understood. The board will not debate with the citizen, and the board may not take action on an item raised during public comment that is not on the meeting notice or agenda. The chair will interrupt and rule a citizen who violates any of these norms out of order. If ruled out of order by the chair, the person's opportunity to address the board will end immediately and the microphone will be turned off. A citizen who violates these norms may be restricted from making public comments at any future meetings. Thank you for your participation and courtesy.
The only thing I have is Mr. Greg Snyder would like to be here and talk.
Hi, I'm Greg Snyder. I live at 703 Milwaukee Road here in Beloit. I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters Government Observer Corps. I've been attending a lot of the meetings. In the past, the board has been working hard to improve its transparency with the public and to open up the meeting so that others may observe and make comments. However, since the coronavirus has happened and schools have been shut down, that has not happened. It is very difficult to find how to link to the live broadcast on YouTube. And there is no way during that meeting for anybody who was not present to to make comments on anything that is happening at that meeting. The orientation meeting that happened earlier tonight is the second one, and of course is listed as a special board meeting. That is a board meeting and must be transparent and open to public view. That had not happened either last week or this week, which is in violation of the open meeting law. Again, it was not available live, and it's not available on YouTube for anybody to watch now. The posts that are listed on board docs encourage the public to stay home for their own health and safety. But that also means they cannot participate in the meetings. Staying after meetings in groups to continue the discussion that happened at the meetings constitutes an illegal meeting and should not be happening. And of course, with the nice windows we have there, anybody driving by can see what is happening during the meeting or after meetings. The big concern is, too, how are you now going to ensure the public's rights to participate in the meetings as they are happening, at the same time follow the safer at home order from the governor? Especially now, as the board is beginning and continuing in the superintendent search process, which everybody is interested in participating in and observing what is happening. At this point, there is no way for them to participate, especially with the public access channel not being operational at this time. And I know that's been an ongoing struggle with the district, and hopefully that will be resolved shortly. That will help a lot of people who do not have internet access or cannot find how to get to the YouTube. So again, just encouraging the board to maintain and improve their transparency and make sure that the meetings are open and citizens can participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Michelle, that was the only public comment?
That is the only comment I have. I had no emails.
Okay, which brings us to the superintendent's reports.
Thank you. Tonight I have 5 items to share and provide update. I'm going to start with some good news shared by Joanne Armstrong. Joanne is the Executive Director of Business, Human Resources, and Operations.
Good evening on this very rainy day, and welcome. I want to personally congratulate all of our new members. I'm excited to have you here and get started. I know some of you are on my really exciting finance committees and all that. We're going to have a great time going through that because I just love those numbers, and I liked what I heard about all the data that people like. So welcome, and I can't wait to get into the business with you. So what I wanted to do really quick is let you know, we had gotten a email at the very end of last week, and I really wanted to share it with the district board, that Advia Credit Union has decided they are doing a Advancing Lives Award for appreciation for communities and nonprofits and organizations that are really standing out during this COVID-19. And they have selected the School District of Beloit as a winner of this award. And they have granted us $2,000 award for the district, and those funds can be used for supplementing our meal costs, for any learning initiatives, or anything that we are doing to help get our students engaged in our instructional distance learning. So I wanted to share that good news, and I also have a certificate that they would like us to get a picture with a couple of you as a board member. So before you leave, if I can at least get a couple of you, I don't want to be the person in the picture. I would really like to see our board accept this on behalf of the district, and we will send our thanks and gratitude to Avia, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge that gift. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. I'd like to give a graduation update as well. Principal Pals and the graduation committee at Beloit Memorial High School did a survey to the students on what they wanted for their graduation under such a difficult time as our school closure. And the students said they do want a face-to-face graduation ceremony. We needed to take a close look at the interpretation of the Wisconsin school closure. The last order that we understood was that schools are closed through the end of the school year. That has been clarified, that all buildings, grounds, and events are closed and canceled through June 30th, which is the end of the 2019-2020 fiscal year. So our graduation that was set for June 6th would not be a face-to-face diploma being handed to an individual type of graduation. So the committee, based on what the students shared, would like to do two things. On June 6th, or we're working on that date, we would like to maintain a graduation ceremony. We'd like it to be June 6th so that all of the invites are still appropriate for families to use and recognize that as the date of their real graduation. We are working right now with Herf Jones Company to create a virtual graduation. It will include pictures and segments for each graduate, and it will include all of the speeches that are a part of a graduation ceremony, and we trust that it will be done very well. It's also the same company, and we're doing it in collaboration with several other area school districts. Ours is going to be a little bit unique because also the students would like, and the dates are not firm, but they would like August 1st, depending on what the state of Wisconsin is doing at that time with social gatherings, as a day to celebrate and have a continuation of that ceremony. If the students are not able to receive their diploma face-to-face on the June 6th in the virtual graduation, that's something that could also be a part of that August 1st celebration. So we are working on it. We'll give you updates as that committee moves forward. But I know people are just so anxious, where are we at with graduation planning? I'd also like to give an update on Term 4 with our distance learning. Term 3 was ended on April 17th. Report cards are completed and are out to families. Term 4 started on April 20th, and this goes through June 5th. The distance learning at this point is going very well. It's a difficult time for everyone. We are extremely proud of our students and their families during this challenging time. For their efforts, for their diligence, for their willingness to create the time and the means within your homes for distance learning, we thank you. We know it has been a difficult endeavor for everyone. We're also very proud of our teachers, our staff, our building principals, for all of their hard work and their ability to provide school in a whole new way, and for all of the learning that they also are doing during this time. We have a survey that is going out soon to all of the families as a check-in to see how things are going with distance learning. We are truly at our midpoint. We have 6 weeks of virtual learning going on, and we are right at the midpoint with 6 more weeks to go until June 5th. So our survey will let us know how things are going and guide us in the remaining weeks that we have. We also will have a check-in survey that will go out to all of our teachers, our professional staff, and our building administrators. It's a really good time to find out how is everybody faring through this difficult time, and what else can we do to put things in place to help everyone make it to the finish line on June 5th. As a cabinet, we are beginning planning for the start of the 2020-21 school year. We are doing many of the tasks right now that happen at this time of the year. It's starting, we said a couple weeks ago, it's finally starting to feel somewhat normal as far as the tasks that we are doing for the school district. We've done enrollment projections. We're looking at the staffing needs. We're in the middle of a lot of hiring, and all of it's being done virtually. As we look at next year, we need to consider, at least at this time, 4 different scenarios or possibilities to reopen our school year. We are looking at full reopening based on, again, how the state of Wisconsin looks with groups and gathering and what the governor is sharing with us. We have to look at, if we all return to full reopening of our schools in the fall, how will it happen? Things will definitely be different. We will have to do many things in a very different fashion, and we're going to have to look at a lot of things we haven't considered before. How will we assess our students, where they're at with their learning and what their needs are as they begin a school year? Another option that we're hearing discussed throughout the state is that there's a possibility of some kind of an opening that would be staggered scheduling, depending on group sizes that are allowed to gather. So we're also beginning to talk about what would that look like and how would we proceed. There's also the option that we could open our schools in the fall, and based on some of the predictions, there could be another resurgence of the virus in the fall, and we would have to move very quickly to another school closure, and we would have to use everything that we have learned and put in place during this period to move it much more quickly and easily for all involved. The other option that we're starting to hear some discussion, and it truly breaks our hearts to hear this, but there is a possibility that our schools may not open in the fall based on what the number of confirmed cases looks like in the state of Wisconsin. This is so difficult because none of us know these answers. None of us know how long this period of time is going to last. And that's one of the things that's causing just a great deal of stress for everyone. So we've got a great team. We've got a great district, wonderful families that are appreciating the work that goes into this and all of the decision-making that has to happen during this time and as we look to opening our schools in the fall. Speaking of the fall, I will share then our school calendar with our board members, and then everything starts once this is out and in place, and we'll have several other calendars that will be developed and a lot of other operations that take place once this board receives the calendar. During a time like this with a national health disaster and emergency, one of the things that we have seen is the importance of communication. That much more important when our communication is pushed to one that is done at a distance and virtually. And I really need to commend Monica Christopha for doing such a fantastic job with all of our communications out not only to staff but to our students and to our families and to our community. And Monica is the Chief of Communications and Marketing for our school district.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. It's good to see new faces and familiar faces as well. Really, I just want to go over the website a little bit because it is really the hub of our distance learning and all things communicate out through that. It has taken the entire district to put this website together. I have to thank my cabinet members who sit with me, their work, certainly Sue's leadership. Maria Acevedo, who works with me, has done a fabulous job. I get input from teachers, principals, student services, our social workers, our psychologists, so that when you get calls, you'll have a good brief overview of our website, and I encourage you tonight to maybe even take a little more time. The first thing we did was to mirror all the websites, the homepage exactly the same on every district school website. So, most important and at the top, we are open for registration now. So we do have a click-through online registration for all new students coming into the district. We've set up this site that talks about an enrollment overview, new student enrollment, 4K and 5K, enrollment forms. Everything is there that you need. We do have, and I don't know why that's not pulling up, we put in a slideshow of photos too, at all grade levels and at all schools, highlighting all the programs that we have available. So, easy online registration done, set up for our district. I'm going to scroll down the home page real quick, if it's working quickly. There we go. You'll see we have student highlights. We've done some really great family things on our Facebook page. We had a cooking contest and students participated. All the photos are up on there. We had a Lego build and we had a virtual art show. This week we're going to do kids with their pets. Just keeping some fun family things going on. The next thing down is our student help desk for IT. This is fabulous. Joanne and her team put this together. We have a phone number for them to call. We have a form that they can fill out, and I've been hearing from parents, we have a 24-hour turnaround. It's been much quicker than that. And maybe Joanne could probably give an update at some time on how many. We closed our school on March 13th. On March 16th, our distant learning materials were up. So right here where it says, please click here, this is additional resources above and beyond what's being provided by teachers in the classroom. You can scroll down this, there's lots of activities, links, other websites, materials, anything you can imagine through 12th grade. So parents and students have access to additional learning opportunities right here from our home site. Again, we've listed all the communications. Any letters that have gone out from our superintendent are listed here in Spanish and English. If a parent can't find a communication, right there on the home page. We've had a lot of positive news, not only just at the Beloit Daily News, but regionally. Sue was just interviewed with WTVO, a television station in Rockford. They published actually the whole 10-minute interview. We've done WCLO. We've sent lots of materials out. You can go there. All of the articles are listed and parents have access to them. We also have educational and video resources. This is really coming from the staff at the district. Newsletters, calendar of events, coping, what to do as a parent, all available right on the website. And lastly, really talking to your child about COVID-19. We have videos, we have first aid kits, it's a little worksheet for kids to work on, all those materials. Since we do a lot on Facebook, if a parent does not have Facebook, they can access it on our website. You know, we distributed 2,000 devices over the last 2 weeks. They have a device at home now. They can access anything we're doing on our website and then digitally. I'm going to go to one of the schools, which mirrors really all of them. I'm going to go to Hackett. So when you go to that, you'll see there's a distance learning tab right at the top. Parent will click on that. There's the complete directory of information. One of the things we knew that was very important under Sue and certainly Melissa Beavers is the social and emotional well-being too. We have occupational therapy who has a page. And what they've done is they have all their contact information, but they have a Facebook page. Activities, how to stay engaged, how to work with your child. So occupational therapy has that up. We also have, physical therapy has done the same thing. We have special education. We have specialties, speech. One of the things parents told us is, can I get a tutorial? I don't know how to use Clever. My student forgot this. What is Go Math? We have listed both in Spanish and English tutorials and information provided to parents and children to help them access all communication that's out there. I'm going to show you one of the classrooms. Let's go to second grade. So if a parent goes and their child's in second grade, they have their second grade weekly work right there, everything. These are uploaded every weekend. We're ready for their parents to go in and work with their child on learning. One of the other cool things that many of the schools have done, and they've added on their distance learning page, which we've done. Let's go back out. I don't know why it's moving so slow. Is that they have videos. Now, not every parent has Facebook, like we said, so we've uploaded all videos that teachers have been doing with read-alongs. In this case, we have 4K videos, Haggerty lessons, handwriting without tears, all kinds of videos that we make available to our families so they can view those with their children. Again, you can look under art, PE, again, all class, all of the sites are the same. I'm just showing you Hackett. And again, populating those things. Now I'm going to say, it's a lot of information coming in. Maria and I are very busy. If someone had told me I'd be back-ending a website to this extent when I took this job, I don't know if I would have said, oh. But now I've become very adept at it. So you've seen what the elementaries look like. Let's take a quick look. I'm just going to pull up McNeil. Again, all the information is the same. But what we've added on the intermediate and on the high school is staff office and hours information. So when you click on that at McNeil, you're going to see office hours. They can click to talk right with their teachers. So they have office hours. That means that teacher is sitting right there at the computer during those times and can be easily accessed. Not that they can't at other times, but they're going to get a face-to-face connection. All intermediates have this availability. I thought that was a really great feature. And actually, the principal there, Michelle, really put the shell together for this and did a really nice job. What I found most exciting about all of this is such collaboration between the schools, elementary, intermediate, high school, everybody working together. So again, I'll show you a social and emotional learning tab. And here you go for 4th grade. We have 5th grade, 6th. You guys can go through this. But again, listing all those components for a well-rounded education under a very stressful and challenging time. And for the high school, very same thing. We've done a unique thing with the high school in that teachers all upload their lessons plans, and they're actually live documents. So if they go in and want to make a daily change, if they want to make a weekly change, in the middle of the day, they want automatically gets uploaded on the back end of the website, and it's available to all our students and families. And again, they have office hours, direct chats, everything. Have worked really hard to make that happen. One other component that I do want to talk about that's on the home page is the COVID-19 updates. Again, available throughout. If you click on that site, it takes you to all kinds of information relating to this. And one of the items that we just put up is immediate help and resources. Parents can click on that, or family members, and it lists all local organizations, organizations that are providing help during this time. Gives them phone numbers, access to all of that, available again to our parents on all sites. So probably the two most important things to click on if you're talking with anybody that's calling you, that distance learning page at the school level and the COVID-19 page, which is accessible again through all. I don't know if any of you follow us on Facebook. Have you seen any of the videos the teachers have been doing? It's phenomenal. Not only are they providing curriculum, but they're providing a lot of extra love. And I want to take you to one. Todd's is really good. Aldridge did one. Did you see where they're throwing a roll of toilet paper amongst staff members? I mean, virtually. They're not all in the same room. But all of them are doing it. We do a shout out to our students on every Tuesday. But I'm going to show you this one. It's very short. It's under distance learning. Come on. Maybe I'm clicking too fast. There we go. And it's under videos. All sites have videos. And if you have 1 second, I just want to end on a positive note. Know, too, that we are responding. We've opened up our Facebook Messenger. We're responding to parents that way. We have email. Everybody is really trying to do their best, and I am really in awe of the commitment of our teachers and principals right now. You have no idea. It's making sure everything is up. I hope the sound works. There we go. And then I'll close out. But this is kind of a happy one. You think it's going to work? Where's Dean? Does it have to load? I just want to show it because it is so cute. Maybe I could show it on Facebook.
Quick question. I know I kind of heard some rumblings that Charter was offering free internet for all of our students. And then I had also heard that some families weren't able to access that because they had previous bills with Charter. Is that a concern that you're hearing? And I know you listed some resources. Are there resources that we can alert families to so that they could help remedy that?
I'm so glad you asked that. It's all on our website and in the family letter we just sent out, but that's all right. We're gonna, how do I get the sound up?
Well, now you just turned it off and it's easier to mute.
Oh, no. Okay, what? I've got the sound up. What the heck?
Your sound's probably not working.
Well, my sound isn't working. This is what I'm going to say. They did a little dance video, and all the teachers are dancing. Oh. Look at Brandy go. He didn't look too happy though. I think it was nice that they could see them in their home with their families. And I want to get back real quick to your question, Amy, which is a good one. On our district home site under COVID-19, we listed the references and where to get a hold of that information. First of all, the cell phone assistance during COVID-19 and the cell phone. We have all their organization listed. On the immediate help and resources, we also have right here, Public Service Commission of Wisconsin, and in the letter, text, and email that we sent out to all families, we listed the phone number and the contact information. That's probably your best way to get help through Charter and Spectrum. They can advocate for them. They have said that they are not denying anyone access because of unpaid bills. So again, we'll keep putting that out there. It was on our website. We'll just keep sharing that information with parents. But please send them to the COVID page. It's all there for them too. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, Great job. I mean, it looks wonderful. This is the best the website's looked in a very long time.
Thanks.
What about the search tab? I mean, there's a ton of information on the website. And if somebody said, I want to type this in, or I'm looking for charter, or I'm looking for whatever it might be, is it going to be able to pull that information in?
Sometimes, sometimes not. It just depends on how we're, if it's a PDF that we're uploading, sometimes it's a little challenging for it to read on that. Most of our Google Docs that we're putting out there with links can pick that up. So if I was saying, let me just see what comes up if I put charter. I don't know that it's not working. Oh, well, it's going to take you to the there you go. It's going to take you to the COVID page. It did for me right here. And I would have to scroll down to find it. It just depends. Like some of these documents have to go up as PDFs. They just do. For the integrity of the document. But at least it got them, when I wrote charter in there, it got them to the COVID-19 immediate resource page.
Megan?
Would it be possible to send a phone call home to families with the, just in the event that you're having an issue with internet or charter, just because I know sometimes like it gets visually like the letters have been really helpful and I've read them and benefited from them, so thank you. But I think everybody's like crazy and overwhelmed right now. Maybe a phone call out and just say, hey, if you're having trouble with internet with charter or whatever, call this number.
Sure.
Would be helpful. Thank you. Just if they can't access online.
Very good. Very good. That's an easy.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I will say from the very beginning, even when we didn't start virtual learning and distance learning yet, I mean, teachers and staff members were at the schools helping to pass out lunches. So it's very obvious how much the staff really cares for our community and our students that, they weren't even asked. And now, our vendors are out there helping and supporting our students and families in this time. So a great job to our whole organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just had a comment. Just wanted to say thank you for the work that you're doing. Even the translations are coming out really good with the phone calls and online. So thank you for that.
Okay, which will bring us to Ms. Armstrong with our technology update.
Hello again. First thing I wanted to do is let you know that thanks to Greg Snyder, who is here with us today, he had put in a letter to Spectrum and actually got a call back from someone. And I reached out to Jake just moments ago before we started the meeting, and Jake says he got a call about an hour ago. Spectrum will be on site tomorrow to look at our cabling and see what they can do. They're not guaranteeing they're going to do anything to move it faster, but they are going to bring a gentleman on site tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to look at our cable. So I am hoping that we can get some resolution. So I'm very happy because I really did not want to stand up here again and tell you it still looks like September. That is the date that they have given us, that the September 18th date is their project completion. So I'm hoping tomorrow I will be here and meet with him and find out what we can do and if there's some possibility of making something work better for us for this process. So that was kind of a plus that we wanted to give out with Spectrum today, moments ago. I also wanted to give you, there was a lot of conversations about what's happening with our broadcast and how the audio is kind of choppy, and when people start calling in, we're getting those breakups and people can't hear. We have done extensive testing, and I want to thank Jake and Dean and the entire TC Networks. Peak, who is our contractor that did all our teleconferencing and our boardroom, they have been in here testing and testing. And what is happening with the district, and it's happening across the world, the internet is over capacity right now with people trying to do Zoom meetings and Google Meets. But what we did discover is that when you start calling in the phones, if there are more than 3 callers on a telephone, that is breaking the connections where you get the choppy, people are breaking in and out. Now, if those, you can have 20, 30, 50 people on their computer, and if they're using the computer to get into that meeting, not using an actual phone, we can have as many as we want, and the sound and the clarity is perfectly clear. So that is one inhibitor that we have, is that people are trying to call in on phones, and that is truly what is breaking our system right now as far as the audio, is people calling in on their phones. We had sent some information out, and I'm hoping this is going to, I don't know why it's not showing you my screen. But we had done a Google Doc of audio meeting etiquette, and I'm kind of curious if that was shared with everybody on the board yet. It might not be with the new members, but it basically was just things that we should try to remember, that if you keep yourself muted at all times, that will reduce that echo. And if you're on the phone and you have it up on your computer, you've got to mute the microphone and your speakers on your computer, or you're going to get that echo, that feedback. We also found if you're trying to do both of those, that seems to interfere with the connection of the audio. Want to make sure that you don't have any background noise going on. If you've got, fans going and things, a lot of your microphones on your computers or your phone will pick up that data. When I know Stephanie is on the phone, when we have more than one person calling in, we really need to be clear of not speaking over each other, because when they're talking and someone's trying to answer, as soon as they talk over each other, they're going to break up that connection. So kind of what we saw in the beginning was, Kyle, you had said, Stephanie, do you have a question? And then we make it clear we're going to go in this order, and those people can speak at that time and politely try to interrupt, but understand that there'll be a little bit of a lag if they talk over each other. That's going to interfere with that audio. So I will send this document back out. I don't know why you get to see my beautiful beach that I want to be at, but this is here. I think it's...
Separate screen, you got to drag it over, baby. Drag your, I think it's seen as a separate screen.
Oh.
So drag your document over.
Which, there it goes. Well, isn't that, there it goes. Okay. Now I have no idea where I'm at, so that's really fun. So this is just, we really came up with this. Your best bet too, if you can't hear it, try using some earbuds. Your earbuds will make it clearer for you. There's not that distortion. Some of our speakers on our Chromebooks and iPads are not necessarily as high quality, and you'll get a clearer sound from having it in there. As I said, don't have the background noise, one speaker at a time. And just things to consider is that when we're conducting these meetings remotely, we just need to really encourage people to make sure they identify themselves. We've heard Michelle many times, who made that motion? We need to make sure that we can see or hear who is talking. And like I said, the services are really taxed right now as far as every school district is doing this. Now, as I said, if we all use our computers, it will go very much smoother. I understand that, as we see here, everybody wants to come here. This is our board meeting. We want to look at some sort of normalcy, and that we are keeping our distance. We're making sure that we're being safe. I will tell you, technology's first and highest recommendation is that we not do this. If we want these to run smoothly, we should all be remoting in, using the Google Meets or the Zoom, and everybody be remote. And I want to give you a look at what that looks like so that you can kind of see. And TC Networks and Jake and Dean and his team are all willing to help us get our pictures up, make sure that people are understanding how to do this, and that everybody's iPad or Chromebook or personal computer that you're using is set up correctly. Janesville is using Google Meets for their board meetings. And now I got to drag this over. Hold on. There we go. And this is how they are conducting their meetings. And Jake had asked me to share this with you so you could see what a virtual meeting would actually look like. And this is how Janesville is doing it. This is what Jake is talking about. He could help get these pictures up there. You don't have to have your video on. And as you notice, it kind of vibrates when that person's speaking. So everyone can see when you are speaking. And this allows everyone to participate in the meeting. You can see everybody's got their microphone muted, and as they start talking, this can happen if we do remote. If all of you were sitting here and using your device, you're going to get feedback, and you're going to have to turn on one person's mic and try to yell across the room. These speakers are not going to work. We could still sit here and broadcast this with nobody in the room, and have this would be streamed on YouTube. So instead of seeing us here and doing this, this is what our community would be able to see on our YouTube station, just like seeing us here. So this is ultimately the recommendation of your TC Networks team and our technology of what we can do most efficiently that would allow everybody to see, and it's not going to have that break of the voice. Yes, ma'am.
I think Amy first and then Megan, if that's okay.
Okay.
Is it possible to have, I'm assuming the people on screen are the presenters or the participants, but to have a separate gallery for audience? That way, instead of having people in the room, they would be able to view and hear what is going on at the meeting.
We could, and I talked to them briefly about this. I'm just going to pause this so it just not keep going. They have got to, we would not have the control of muting everybody in there, so it would be an issue of people if they logged into this Google Meet as they're doing this. This is all their board members, their cabinet, and their superintendent. So those are the people that are participating in the meeting. Now, their community is watching this on YouTube, much like we're doing, and those they can email. And they do take instant message and emails for public comments. So they may have another secretary like Michelle or somebody else sitting there listening to an instant message feed that could, we don't typically engage community while we're having a board meeting on action items. You have the public comment, which we've addressed through those emails, and that would still be our preferred format. But you could actually run a dialogue if someone was able to watch it. I don't want to say Michelle, because Michelle is busy taking our notes as your secretary, but we could potentially do that. That is not something that people are doing as far as boards, but we are willing to try to work as much as we can. All of those would have to be into public record, because it wouldn't be broadcast on here. This is what everybody would see at home. And we wouldn't have, comments. It's not going to be like the Facebook Live where you see the rolling scroll of comments. We would not open that type of structure back and forth. But we could do something where we could have somebody looking at comments. And even if we didn't address them at the board meeting, we could obviously forward all those comments from the board meeting onto board members. And this is all a learning curve for all of us right now. And I know I've been as frustrated as all of you with this technology, because I'm going to say the community paid a lot of money for this boardroom and this technology. No one envisioned that we were going to be in this environment when we built it. And so we were excited when we got the conference calls to come through the speakers. That was not something that was originally done in this. And we learned that lesson when we tried to call the attorney, and I said, this doesn't work. You can't have the microphone down here at a speaker on someone's cell phone, and we're holding phones here. We're making adjustments and trying to, but this is a whole new environment, and we are trying to work through this as fast as we can. So I would take more questions, I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, John.
So you said that that's the screen that every member has up. So I'm assuming that if there's a presentation going on and material that's provided, that it's going to overlay all of that?
Yep, you can actually, within Google Meets, you have a presentation screen. And so you could, if one of these people wanted to present, it would come up as that presentation. I would also recommend that any presentations that we're going to be doing would be in our Google Docs so people could be looking at that. You know, this is the nice part where you have two screens, or you can split your own screen to see that, have your meeting here. But we could also forward that on to the tech team to see if they could seamlessly do that, where it would take the whole screen instead of just showing one person's faces now presenting this screen. Because you don't want to take away who's contributing to the process. So this was just, we wanted to give you some options. And as I said, I know how everybody feels about coming in, because I'm the same way. I've been here at every meeting. We like to see this face-to-face. We like for people to see us, knowing that we are still operating, we are still here, much like we do for the videos for our kids. We want to let the community know that we're here and that we are trying to accommodate these open meetings. But like, this is truly our best option if you want to do a remote without any of those. You're still going to have user error, and I don't like saying that, but when you have people that are on their computer and on their phone, you're going to get those feedbacks, and a lot of our problems have been able to be corrected with instruction of saying, you're doing something incorrectly, let's get it under the right process, and we'll move forward from there. So I think there's lots of options. TC Networks is willing to work with all of you in getting a preferred picture, whatever you would like to do that. If this is something that people want to look at, even if you don't want to do this as your meetings, I think it's a great idea to have your headshots associated with your email so that when people are emailing you or they're on Google, they're seeing your picture versus, you know, whatever you have on Facebook or whatever's associated with your account. Answer anything else?
Any other questions? I would say that I would prefer whoever's presenting for that, if it's being broadcast on YouTube, I would prefer for the presentation to go over the faces to make it more user-friendly for the people who are watching home who maybe don't have the two devices to be looking at board docs and everything. So I guess my next question is this something that we as a board would want to try for, like, for May 12th, which would be like our next regular business meeting? Is that what TC Networks would like?
I would like to connect with Jake, because when I said I would present this, I will tell you, I told him, and John gave me the same look this morning, I don't think that's going to fly. If this is truly something we want to look at, I want to do that testing of that overlay, but I do think it's something that we are prepared to do, but I would like to answer that question about overlay before, because we are at that time where we're going to have some presentations that we want to show you.
Okay, so Stephanie, are you still with us?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm so sorry. I hit the wrong button.
No.
I am, and I've been hearing great.
Okay, no, you had me worried for a minute. I thought we lost you. Do you have any thoughts or anything about this, Stephanie?
Well, I'm still mulling it over. I mean, I listened to what Greg Snyder said. It's difficult, because I know we want to be transparent. We want the community part of it, yet it is time of COVID. So thanks for asking. I guess I'd like to hear from some of my colleagues.
Sure. I was going to go down the list and kind of get input. John?
Thank you.
I would recommend that with the etiquette sheet that you had, and whether you have something like that for video conferencing, I would have that out there for any presenter. I'm just thinking back to the presentation we had with WASB and how disastrous that was. But if they had the information ahead of time saying, here's what you need to do, we would avoid those conflicts.
Yep.
Megan, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I would just add that, I mean, we should probably do this for every meeting, not just the business meeting. I think that's how we have to for open meetings law right now. So if it works, I'm highly in favor of it.
Spencer, do you have any thoughts?
I'd be in favor in it, as long as, again, we keep it public.
Let people look.
And this would be complete, it would be in the same format that you have right now with that it's broadcast on YouTube. This is Janesville's YouTube broadcast. So until when we get the cable network up, this could broadcast as well to that. So it wouldn't be that we'd have to be here again just so it can get on TV. This would be your broadcast. And I want to, we are all definitely keeping our social distance, but when we're talking about this safety and stuff, we are truly over the max number in this room. We have plenty of our space, but we need to be, as much as we want to be here, we need to be careful of what we are doing in meetings and things, which is why districts are going this route. If it's just the board meeting, typically you would not have over your 10 people, but when we have public, we have the board secretary, you have cabinet, attorneys, you're getting over those numbers. And so I just really we're trying to be as careful and protect everyone's safety. So I just want to be conscious of that.
Amy, do you have any other thoughts?
I support definitely doing all of our meetings virtual. My only concern is if we need to go into closed session or privacy, is this encrypted? Are we making sure that no one can accidentally join into a meeting and then be privy to information that they should not?
Well, and I have had that discussion, and Janesville is doing that. It is a separate meeting, and it is locked to only those individuals who have access. So it would be given to the board and to the board secretary, and those would be the only people. If I was needing to come into that meeting to maybe talk about a personnel matter or something, I would either have to call in myself or I would have to receive just one invite from Michelle, and I would only be allowed at this point, and then it would be a closed meeting. If you are because I asked about that because people were saying that if you had a Google Meet on your calendar from a month ago, you could go back to that at any point and open it back up. We have closed that loop here in the district because we don't want students to necessarily go back to some open feed and they're starting to have conversation. That's part of the whole safety. Everyone's learning as we go, and when we heard about that, that is something that TC Networks has been aware of, and they have shut down. Once a meeting is over, especially with our student side, we are cutting that access off to that meeting. It's taken off the grid, I guess. I'm real technical, I'm sorry, but it shouldn't be accessible anymore at that point.
And then my only other concern is if there are stipulations to who can be in your household while you are participating in a meeting like that. So if there's criteria like that, it would be helpful for us to have that up front.
Yep, and we can definitely put something together that if you're participating in a closed session, you would maybe have to go into a secluded place and, whether it be a closed room, an office. And I will say, if that comes down to situations where we need to do this, I hate to say this, but there are plenty of offices here where we could have you, if someone just can't, I have kids at home, I cannot do this, we can put somebody in a training lab, we have conference rooms, we just can't have you sit here because your feedback's gonna be there. But there are places that we could have somebody, if they needed to come in here, we could still keep that distancing, but I don't wanna rely on this broadcast and these microphones if we're gonna go to that route, because this is when you introduce a whole new level of breaking that audio for too many sources coming in.
And then, Maria, do you have any thoughts?
I think this is a good alternate right now. But like John said, I would like some ways of making presentations open to the public, because I think that that's very important. I mean, we're communicating information, and if they're not able to see it, then it loses translation.
Oh, yeah. And it would definitely be visible. I just don't know if it'll overlay everybody's face or if it would just, and you could change your grid look so that you would just see Megan's face if she was presenting. But that's what I want to look at and make sure that it would always be visible if someone wanted to present it. It's just whether it's going to be that small or big. And I want to check that before we do that. And those presentations should always be available on board docs. I will tell you this wasn't, because I just kind of pulled this together with the tech spectrum ticket and just trying to get this idea. Jake and I were working on this, and he was working with his team on the testing, so I do apologize. I know we're trying to get all our agenda. I got my agenda item out there. I just didn't have all this data for you together. But I will make sure that that etiquette comes out to everybody, and we'll get those norms out as well.
Yeah, and I'd also like more information just to ensure that, because I'm thinking about closed session, kind of what Amy was talking about, and in my mind, that if you have that link to join that closed session meeting, you have that link, and you could say you're off. I mean, without necessarily like changing, you'd almost have, in my mind, you'd have to have a link for almost every agenda item that you would have to switch to, so then only people would have the access. And again, I don't want to do anybody's job, but I would want more information about that, because in my mind, I don't know how that would work, and I want to make sure that that is.
And we can reach out to Janesville as well and see how they're doing. I mean, they were kind of our model right now because they had such a large group that we knew this was working really well for them. So I can get the specifics on how they're conducting their closed sessions.
Sure. So once you have the information, I can touch base with the other board members, and as we receive updates, and then see if this is something that would be ready to try May 12th.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Am I good to communicate just with you and Sue and go through this process of what I find from Jake, and you'll communicate to the rest of?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And while I'm here, I just want to do one more plug. If everybody saw the article in the Beloit Daily News about our food service, and that we had served over 56,000 meals. As of today, it is 69,742. So, and I want to clarify, because the Beloit Daily News asked me today, that they are not our students. It is open to anyone age 1 to 18. So we had gotten the question of how can we serve so many meals if we don't only have 6,000 kids. So we are serving 2 meals at a time, breakfast and lunch, and it is open to anyone regardless of enrollment in the district. So we are doing a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this brings us to the consent agenda, and I want to take just a second to explain the consent agenda to the board members. The things that are on the consent agenda are usually minutes from other meetings that we need to approve. That's also where many of the items that committees have recommended to the full board will go to the consent. And so the consent agenda means that we can just approve all of those things in one vote rather than talking about each one of them individually. However, a board member always has the right to, when we get to the consent agenda, to then say, you know, I would like to remove B, the business meeting minutes from February 25th from the consent agenda. And that doesn't have to be a motion. You know, a board member has the right to request it. Then that means it's pulled off. We can still approve everything else, and then we'll come back and discuss that as a separate item. Okay? All right. So we are at the point of the consent agenda, so I would be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion. I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any other questions or discussion of the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved, which brings us to our business agenda action items. The first one is the employment recommendations that the Policy and Personnel Committee just recommended to the full board prior to this. I also want to take a minute to explain that since it was the first one we're approving as a board, it's not on the consent agenda. Usually this is one of the things that would be on the consent agenda that would be approved because it's been explored by a committee previously. And I also wanted to point out that there's usually 3 signatures on every employee recommendation. However, in the first one, if one of the people who is required to sign, they are on the personnel rec, then they do not sign it. Okay, so that's why Exhibit A is missing a signature, is because that person is on the personnel rec. Okay, so is there a motion for the employment recommendations, Exhibit A and B?
Go ahead, John.
Maybe. There we go. Approval of the employment recommendations, Exhibit A and B. Motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and second to approve the employee recommendations, Exhibit A and B. Any other discussion?
Point of order, I need to know who seconded.
Again.
Thank you.
Okay, Amy?
Have we confirmed that we either have had or have scheduled exit interviews for all individuals that are resigning?
The exit interviews for the district are handled by a third-party consultant, and that was a board decision. They do our climate survey and our exit interviews, so they will be provided the names of all of our exiting employees monthly. So Tracy Shirk is the consultant, and she will be reaching out to conduct those so that they are conducted in a completely separate manner so that employees feel safe and able to speak their truth on their reasons for leaving the district. Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes, Stephanie.
Is Joanne still there? I'm just curious who
Yes.
actually sees those exit interviews? Who peruses those?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Hi, it's Stephanie. Who actually looks at those exit interviews and how are they used?
Okay, the exit interviews, because that was hired by the board, Tracy Shirk provides a report to the board. I think she's supposed to start doing those quarterly to the board, and she maintains all that data. She'll give us breakouts, but we, as the HR and district offices, we can look at her report data, but we don't own any of that data so that it keeps the anonymity of the people that have given those responses. So I can find out when her next scheduled board presentation is to you. I think that we usually would be waiting closer to the end of the school year, and then we would do one in the fall after we have the normal attrition time during the summer months.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? See none. All in favor of approving the employment recommendations, Exhibit A and B as presented, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the personnel recs are approved as presented. Brings us to B, approval of the W Asb Webinars. We can view the cost was like $65 a person, but if we view it together as a whole entire board, it's $195. Michelle had dates on the doodle she sent out to see which day would work best for us. The 14th is a regularly scheduled board, or is it the 12th? The 12th is our second Tuesday board meeting. We could make it work around that webinar if need be. But anytime we do like a board workshop or anything that requires money, we bring it to the board for approval. So here I would be looking for the approval for both of the WASB seminars. One is understanding your legal roles and responsibilities, and the second is how to plan and conduct effective board meetings, and they would cost $195 per session.
I just have a question. With regard to Joanne's presentation she just gave about the Google Meets and the remoting in, is that something that we would then be able to facilitate remotely?
I think we would have to look into that. I'm sure there's got to be a way to do it, but we can look for more information and make sure that happens. Any other questions or discussion or a motion?
I move that we spend the $195 per session for the board as a whole to participate in the WASB spring seminars.
I'll second.
Oh, that's exciting. Our first motion and a second. All right, any further discussion?
Kyle,
Yes,
is that 195 per night? Or that's for the,
it's per session.
that's,
So I
should
think,
be,
yeah, so I think what we're trying to find a night when all 7 of us can be together.
all right, just want to
Yeah,
make that clear.
yep, that we can all do on the same night, yes. Okay, any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of spending the $195 per WASB session, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes and carries that we will schedule those. If you haven't completed your doodle already, please do so, so that we can go ahead and get that booked. All right. Okay, so this brings us to number 7, future meeting dates. So right now, the only thing we have hard on paper is that tomorrow we will have a 6 p.m. planning meeting with WASB for the superintendent search. And that will also be broadcast on YouTube. We also do have some seats in COLAC if citizens feel that that's a better choice for them. And that will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. here. And then in the beginning of May, we will have our May 12th will either be a board meeting or it will be our WASB webinar. And then committee meetings usually start happening in those first couple of weeks of the month. And so the chairs will work with administration to get those scheduled and then notify the committee members. And the chairs will probably work with the committee members also to find a time that works best for everybody on the committee. Okay? And that brings us to our future agenda items. Is there anything that anyone would like to see on an agenda item as an agenda item coming?
I would like an update on a broad overview of how all of our students are doing, and specifically, are there any students in the district that teachers or administrators have not been able to contact through distance learning, with specific focus on any of our students that are eligible for McKinney-Vento services and any of our pregnant and parenting students?
Sorry, I'm chatting quickly. Okay. And any other ones? Okay, you always have the ability to email the board president if you think of something later that you would like to be put on a board agenda. I am going to create something to use later. Yes, Megan?
Sorry, I just thought of one. I was contacted earlier this week by one of our community partners and wondering about if there's going to be a plan for whether it's in person, if we're able to reopen in the fall, or if there's going to be a virtual opportunity to provide mental health services to students. So I don't know if that's something I doubt that's something we're able to answer at this next meeting, but I just wanted to put that out as a future agenda item.
And I would like to clarify also that because we asked for future agenda items here at the business meeting or at a full board meeting, some of the things you're asking for would be better suited for a committee meeting. And so one of the jobs that I take seriously as a board president is to make sure that if you have an agenda item request, you know where it's going and you know when it's coming. So I will follow up with you and let you know when that will fall in and if it goes to a committee rather than to the full board. Are there any other future agenda items? Okay, seeing none. We technically don't have to have a motion to adjourn the meeting. However, it has become practice to make sure that the president can't just adjourn the meeting and cut other board members off. Or sometimes if we go into closed session, we may have discussions in closed session, but then we may have to take action open session. And so it's a way to kind of check and make sure that we have dotted all of our I's, crossed all of our T's before the meeting is over. Because once I adjourn the meeting, we can't reopen it. So, right now I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the meeting is adjourned.